Disclaimer: the views and opinion of the hosts and resource persons do not represent those of the organization and the university and its stakeholders.
Good morning, LaSalle! This is Writing in Progress, where we talk about the nitty-gritty of writing.
And its progress. And today we have with us our lovely guest, Miss Yellowbelle. And here to tell us their experience as publishing a new book. So, Miss Yellowbelle, what is your newest book?
Hello, everyone. Good morning, Jod. Good morning, Art. Good morning to DLC Writers Guild officers and to all our listeners. My new book is titled Verses from the Old Pink Tree, a Filipino student's journey in Japan.
So, what drove you to write this book about your journey in Japan?
I think it was the desire to document something so beautiful because these poems were written between the years 2008 to 2011, up until 2016, I think, because it consisted of poems that were written while I was still in Japan from 2008 to 2011 and memories of Japan. I was writing out of nostalgia, so I was already here in DLSU as a faculty member, and I continued to write poems up until 2016, which later became a part of the collection.
Nostalgia is a powerful driving force when it comes to writing.
That's real.
Right.
Do you think when you were writing about nostalgia that looking back at it in a different time changed your perspective of the book? Or
Somehow, yes, because I noticed the poems that I wrote out of nostalgia were tended to be more comparative.
Wow.
For example, there's a poem titled Transcendent Places where I wrote it while I was aboard a bus in Cubao going home to Bulacan, and I was writing about Shinjuku and comparing it to Cubao. I was also writing about the river Sumida in Tokyo and comparing it to Pasig River. So it was kind of comparative because you were writing from the point of view of return migration and nostalgia of your migrant destination previously.
So it definitely felt like when you were writing out of nostalgia, a lot of it felt like it was a reflection.
I agree.
You reflected on your trip to Japan as well as the country that you live in now, that you're from.
Right.
I think it's very interesting actually to be able to write and reflect and to have all your emotions just written down on paper from good and bad experiences. I think that's really interesting.
it is really interesting. Would you say that you still miss it now?
Japan?
Yeah.
I do in a lot of ways. But it's not like I still want to live there. It's more of remembering all the beautiful moments that transpired and wanting to return as a tourist in the future.
Oh.
We hope you have a good future trip to Japan
Thank you.
and that you may enjoy it.
Thank you.
So, I think aside from the reflections, what other things inspired you during your journey of making the book?
Well, I was traveling with the love of my life, who died 3 days after we launched the book in Yuchenko.
Sorry for
So
this.
all the more I realized
So
the importance. Thank you. All the more I realized the importance of the book because that book was actually while he was still alive. I never saw it. His death. I never saw it coming. All the more I realized the importance of that book because it was dedicated to him.
Oh.
Because it was a chapter in my life where our love blossomed as young lovers, and I went to Japan 1 year ahead of him, and then when he arrived we started traveling together every time there was a chance to do so, and it was a document of all those travels. And in a way this book is a love letter to him and to the love that we shared for 19 years until he passed.
That's very beautiful. It's wonderful. Condolences again.
Thank you.
So, I think I just slightly changing the tone for it. What were the highlights what were some of the highlights of the journey of writing this book, and what are the lowlights and its journey as well?
The highlights was the emotional highs that I experienced, seeing the words getting into print, the nice words that I hear from poets who have read it. It was awarded the Bienvenido Grant in 2013
Ooh,
here in
congrats.
LaSalle.
Congrats.
And through the mentorship of Dr. Shirley Lua and Dr. Dina Roma and the positive reviews, it was kind of a boost for someone who ventured into poetry and is just starting out. It gives you the confidence that you really badly needed at the time. So that was the highs. And then ordinary people who are not really poets, but readers who just wanted to, appreciate poetry or support a friend. Every time I read their feedbacks on the book, and friends from Visayas and Mindanao who are writing in Ilonggo, and I would read that, I think those are the high points. And developing the book and learning how to publish a book both on print and on Kindle were also the high points, because it's like, wow, hashtag skill unlocked. Finally, I'm doing things for the first time.
It's always great to be able to learn and experience a new skill in life.
Right.
It's exciting.
It's like learning how to bike, and this time we can say, oh, I know how to publish a book now.
Yeah, you can finally say that I've done this and I'm
I've-
happy.
right.
Experienced it.
Right.
That's wonderful.
Right.
Do you think you would? Do you think, after writing the book for a first time, you think it gives you a drive to make other books in the future?
Definitely, this is merely a start in the journey, and as I revealed during the poetry launch, I already have some ideas of what to write about after this. Well, before he died, I launched the book, and then 3 days later he died, right? And then basically I already had an idea of the second collection, but it wasn't really a full-blown idea. There were some
It was a concept.
there was a concept, but then now I just know it's about grief, healing, and recovery from losing someone you love. Yeah.
So, I think that's a very, very good
Yeah.
roadmap, a good concept of what to write, because these are very strong emotions that,
Right.
and I believe one of the many things a writer does is to decipher the language of the heart
Right.
and to put those feelings onto paper. And
Right.
best of luck to you,
Thank
and
you.
your healing and your new project.
Right.
We're very excited to read it in the future.
Actually, Arc, if the keyword of the previous project was pink, the keyword for the second project would be turquoise, and I think it's very close to the water and healing itself.
It's also quite complementary colors, I think,
Right.
if I believe so.
I agree.
I think that's very beautiful. I really hope I get to read it.
I hope so too.
You better call me, Jot.
Of course. I will. What? But what got you? Speaking of poetry, what got you into making it a poem in the first place? Like, there are different mediums that you could have made it, like short stories, essays. Why poetry?
Admittedly, I wasn't really writing poetry up until the time that my wanderlust was awakened by Japan. When you witness, let's say, sunset in Mount Fuji by the seashores of Kamakura, you don't really sit down and get your laptop and write an essay. You write a poem, right? So it's really an emotional experience. It was very natural to appreciate nature and its beauty, and to think metaphorically in terms of verses. It makes you poetic rather than turn you into an essayist. So
I got you.
I was just being guided by my emotional compass, I think.
I do really like that perspective, because I am my main form of writing is also poetry, and to me, I think the difference, what makes poetry stand out, or why it's different from prose and essays, is that when you write poetry, you don't write poetry to write poetry. You write poetry because that is what the words sound like the moment you feel them.
That's true.
or not just feel them. The moment the emotions, the raw emotion is there, sometimes they come with words, and that words is what translate into poetry.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's
agree
very
with you.
beautiful.
I remember there was a lot of times. I think we had like writing challenges in our org. Um, I think my specialty is more of like short fiction as well, short fiction. Where there's a lot of times where like I'd write like one-liners and I would try to like piece them together to the story, and I realized, these one-liners sound way better in poetry form, where I have lesser worry about the formatting and more free about how I want to express how I feel about the certain emotions of the characters.
I think the beauty of poetry is that a lot of people think it's always going to be very strict rhymes, strict everything. I think what people don't realize is that in contemporary times, poetry isn't just the number of syllables or the rhyming scheme. It really is, as going back to a foreign point I said earlier, the rawness of emotion put into words. And I wish I could describe it in a more concrete way, but I really can't. All I can remember is that yes, we still learn poetry in like lower grades, that the rhyme is there. But later on, you find out that it's a lot like what Pablo Picasso said about art, and not just visual art. I remember the saying goes as learn the rules like a pro, so you can break them like an artist, and I think that goes quite well with poetry.
What were your? I think since both of you guys are quite into poetry, and I'm interested in trying to like dip my toes as well. What are some of your main, I guess, main inspirations in terms of poetry that you would recommend like a starter like me?
So do you have something?
I started with Filipino poets because I actually was managing the release of a literary folio for a school paper in UP Diliman, and I was reading everything, but my role wasn't really to write and edit, but to release the funding and to liaise with the publishers. Along the way, I was reading them, and I learned from that generation of poets, Mayo Uno Martin, who's based in Singapore, Richard Gapi, who died recently, Erickson Acosta with his famous line, "Walang kalabaw sa Cubao." He and Kirima Tariman, who was a revolutionary poet who died in Visayas with a military encounter. These were the people I read about, and they were kind of my mentors, and then they started lending me books, like Anne Sexton's books, Allen Ginsberg, and Filipino poets as well. So I think these were the main inspirations that I had. Jose Wendell Capili became a professor of mine in comparative literature, and he made us read Philippine literature in English from Paz Marquez Benitez, Dead Stars, to more contemporary poets. So I think those were my main influences in writing.
Taking it in, being inspired from others as well.
Right.
I think that is a great way to start, because I believe it was in one of Mark Twain's books that he said that men take input from people around them, and they output something from that input. It really is people, you will understand yourself not just because of original thought, but because of your surroundings and the people you surround yourself with, the books you read, the literature, and you take that in and you embrace that, and you follow on the footsteps of giants, and you do the best you can to try to be you.
Yeah.
If I'm going to put it in another way, I do think another great way to start poetry, it's really to listen to the rawness of emotions you feel in different circumstances, different states of minds. Sometimes some things will just come to you, and the words will flow out from your mouth naturally like honey.
That's real.
Can I just add something? I think Buddhist haiku also influenced me in a lot of ways with my mysterious encounters with it, beginning with my time in Japan as a graduate student and my consultancies while as a Lasallian faculty. I was consulting with Guangming College, who is our neighbor, and then they gave me this entire book of Buddhist poetry, and then reading these haiku verses was very deeply influenced me too.
Oh, that's
I think the great thing about haikus as well is that a lot of them have to do with everyday objects, everyday things, even nature, I believe. And I think when it comes to poetry, you don't always have to write about the grandiosity of everything. Sometimes the greatest poems come from ordinary things written in an extraordinary way or felt in an extraordinary way.
Profoundly stated.
So, do you think you're from the beginning, from writing poetry, like to now, your style has changed over time?
I think it did.
How
It
so?
has become more closer to haiku. Before it was more, free
Free verse.
free verse, but now it's more controlled and disciplined. I wouldn't say I was undisciplined simply because I was writing free verse, for lack of a term, but I think it was a reflection of the evolution, my personal ethics, and the way I process my thoughts.
It came to you naturally more as a haiku event. Or like
Now.
now it does.
Now.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, that's why I always believe when it comes to poetry, it's not always about form or rhyme scheme or control. You will write in a manner that reflects your soul. If it is in a controlled manner, it will be in a controlled manner. If it is in a manner unique to your own, it will be. But it will always sound good, or it will always be good as long as the emotions are there and it's not just ordinary.
Right.
Yeah. I think he's coming near to the end of the podcast. So I was just curious. Do you have any advice to any future authors about the book?
To just keep writing and to take rejections
Gracefully.
gracefully and to not allow it to dishearten you. Build from it and learn from all the negative reviews that you get. If you need to imitate in the beginning, then maybe it's a stage that you need to do, but your own voice will come out in the end. Don't be too hard on yourself. You won't write perfectly in the beginning, and if in your heart poetry makes you happy, don't listen to other people's opinion anyway. Stay and keep going. And also, I know doing math is not easy, but you have to really patiently do the math if you are to be successful financially, especially if you're doing it as a self-publishing endeavor. So try to be patient with yourself, do the simple accounting that you need to do, and network and learn the ropes of the publishing industry, because even poets need to eat. So you also need to recover your investments while you're
It's still a business.
Yeah.
while you're cultivating your art. Make sure that you're also kind of recovering your investments from the book, and it's a different skill to learn. As if it's one thing to learn to write and to write well, it's another thing it's another skill required to learn how to sell what you write and do it with profit. So please try to debunk the notion that writers are hungry. You don't have to be hungry, because at this day and age, so many people have already made a lot of money from writing, and you deserve to be one of them. It's just that you need to upskill. You don't have to just be contented with what you know. You have to keep on broadening your horizons, do networking, and even if you hate math, you somehow have to put up with it and learn it so that you'd be successful at writing and selling what you write.
Have to learn the pragmatic skills as well as the creative skills.
I agree.
I think a good point earlier that Miss Yellowbelle brought up was, I think this is a quote from Robin Williams in Dead Poet Society, I believe, is that no matter what you do, you have to find your own voice in the poems you make.
I agree.
And I quite agree with that, because at the end of the day, a writer must write, and when they write, it has to be a reflection of themselves. And I think that is that's the soul they put into their work.
Right.
It's their own soul. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
As well, of course, as again, the practical and the pragmatic skills, the math that a lot of people find difficult at first. But yeah, I think you said that the basics should be enough to carry you and network around.
Right. And keep making something that will outlive you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Love that.
That's your legacy.
Right.
Words have meaning, and that can be your legacy.
I agree.
I like that.
Okay, so
Thank you for your time, Miss Yellowbelle.
thank you.
It was a great talk. We love we love your book, and we love everything you said today. We hope to read your future works.
If ever people are curious about buying your book, can I ask where they will be able to see it?
It's available on Lazada, Shopee, 8 Letters website, and Kindle, or you can directly send me a private message on Facebook.
Right, hear that, guys? Support your local artists. Thank you very
Amen.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Belle. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.